People are dying. This is serious. This should not be a partisan issue. This is about our constituents and all of our lives. Iowa, Nebraska, broad swaths of the Midwest are drowning right now, underwater. Farms, towns that will never be recovered and never come back. Science should not be partisan. We are facing a national crisis. And if we do not ascend to that crisis, if we do not ascend to the levels in which we were threatened at the Great Depression, when we were threatened in World War II, if we do not ascend to those levels, if we tell the American public that we are more willing to invest and bail out big banks than we are willing to invest in our farmers and our urban families, then I don't know what we're here doing. We're screwed on climate. Like, I'm sorry to break it to you. If we do nothing, there is no hope. Period. That's just a principle across the board. If we do not act, there is no hope. The only time we can hope is when we act. But when it comes to climate in particular, we're actually screwed. There is a global threat to the planet. A global threat. First and foremost, we need to save ourselves, period. There will be no future for the Bronx. There will be no livable future for generations coming for any part of this country in a way that is better than the lot that we have today if we don't address this issue urgently and on the scale of the problem. And we're like, the world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. And your biggest issue is, your biggest issue is how are we going to pay for it? And like, this is the war. This is our World War II.
A nickel. He's a nickel right there. Dude, yo, chill. Dude, it's a prank. It's a prank.
Okay, so we have a lot of news to get to this week, starting off with number one. On Monday, a girl was censored from wearing a MAGA hat on campus.
How does being a patriot and trying to show pride in your country, how is that inappropriate?
Clovis North senior Maddie Mueller doesn't shy away from sharing her political views or wardrobe. She's a member of the Valley Patriots. The group asked their members to wear their MAGA hats on February 20th. Maddie was told she couldn't on campus, so she asked if she could wear any Trump hat with school colors on it, and she was told no, citing the dress code.
To my knowledge, Trump is not a logo. It's a last name. It's just our president. You can't really claim that our president is a logo, a sports team. It's not affiliating with any gang.
The Clovis Unified School District dress code does not specify if political hats or shirts are allowed.
Bottom line for us, our dress code is really about allowing our kids to come to school, to feel safe at school, to feel supported at school, and to be free of distractions so they can focus on learning.
Here we are closer to the shouting fire in a crowded theater.
Former federal district judge Oliver Wanger says the student's First Amendment right is being stripped, but the district may have the right to do so.
The hat is something that could invoke violence or invoke controversy. Then, for the safety of the students, the school is within its legal right.
Maddie says she's been dress coded repeatedly for wearing T-shirts.
This has similarities to a case in 1965 where 5 students from Des Moines wore black armbands to school to protect against American involvement in the Vietnam War. The principal was forced to apologize for this. Alyssa Milano was leading a campaign against Georgia's pro-life law by saying that women shouldn't have sex because of this law.
Attention.
She also tweeted this. She said, the sex strike tweet has reminded people of the Republican war against women. Good. These oppressive, regressive, forced pregnancy bills are now being discussed in a serious manner on our national news cycle. Good.
Now, Milano's sex strike has received criticism from many sides of the conversation, including that it ignores the LGBTQ community, minorities, and sexual violence, and that it frames sex as something in which heterosexual women do not actively participate.
This Georgia law pushes the idea that babies inside the womb is a person and also gives accountabilities to men who knock up a woman then leave. There seems to be a lot of lies and misinformation about this bill saying that women who have abortions will be jailed. All of that is not true. The pro-life position has never been about prosecuting women, only third parties such as doctors. Kamala Harris has also called for increased gun regulations.
For anyone who sells more than 5 guns a year, they will be required to perform background checks on the people they sell them to. And this will be the most comprehensive background check policy that has ever been had in our country thus far.
Can that be done by executive order?
Yes.
Now, constitutionally speaking, it's important to point out that under these current statutes, these gun laws are impossible to propose. The Supreme Court has also decided in a 5-4 vote that a lot of Apple users are able to pursue antitrust laws against the App Store. Brett Kavanaugh wrote the majority opinion talking about the 30% commission Apple receives based on every purchase. Rashida Tlaib also has some new comments about the Holocaust. She is now claiming that the quotes are Islamophobia.
2 weeks ago or so, we celebrated, it took a moment, I think, in our country to remember the Holocaust. And there's a kind of a calming feeling I always tell folks when I think of the Holocaust and the tragedy of the Holocaust and the fact that it was my ancestors, Palestinians, who lost their land and some lost their lives, their livelihood, the human dignity, their existence in many ways have been wiped out, and some people's passport. I mean, just all of it was in the name of trying to create a safe haven for Jews post
On Tuesday, Bill Nye advocates for climate change programs.
Glasses on. By the end of this century, if emissions keep rising, the average temperature on Earth could go up another 4 to 8 degrees. What I'm saying is the planet's on fucking fire. There are a lot of things we could do to put it out. Are any of them free? No, of course not. Nothing's free, you idiots. Grow the fuck up. You're not children anymore. I didn't mind explaining photosynthesis to you when you were 12, but you're adults now, and this is an actual crisis. Got it? Safety glasses off, motherfuckers.
Now that Bernie is also decreasing in the polls, he's now attacking Joe Biden.
That's what we're going to talk about. Joe voted for NAFTA. He voted for permanent normal trade relations with China. Those 2 trade policies alone cost us about 4 million jobs and I think depressed wages in the United States. I helped lead the effort against those trade agreements. I think that is an area that needs discussion.
On Wednesday, Alabama has passed a law that has banned abortion in the state.
All human life is precious.
Alabama Governor Kay Ivey signed the nation's most restrictive abortion ban into law Wednesday, saying it's time for the Supreme Court to revisit Roe v. Wade.
Where's the money coming from to support people who aren't ready to be mothers or aren't financially stable to take care of a child?
You simply cannot defer protecting lives of unborn children because of cost.
Now that Joe Biden has the lead, even AOC and Bernie Sanders are attacking him.
Are we ready to take back our future and take back our lives? Because that is what this fight is all about. I will be damned if the same politicians who refused to act then are going to try to come back today and say we need a middle of the road approach to save our lives. That is too much for me.
When you're dealing with the future of the planet and making sure that our kids and our grandchildren have a healthy and habitable world in which to live, I don't know how you go too far. I mean, this is an existential threat, not just to the United States, but to the entire planet. We have a moral obligation to combat climate change, to bring the entire world together. This is not an American.
Tensions with the U.S. and Iran are now soaring.
The U.S. has already sent an aircraft carrier and B-52 bombers to the Persian Gulf, but President Trump denied reported plans to send as many as 120,000 more troops.
Would I do that? Absolutely. But we have not planned for that. And if we did that, we'd send a hell of a lot more troops than that.
The U.S. government has urged citizens to not travel to Iraq. There will also be a new investigation for the Trump-Russia conspiracy. The assignment will be to investigate the origins of the Trump-Russia investigation. Was it meant to target Trump, or was it meant for legitimate reasons? Democrats are also pushing the Equality Act, which removes religious freedom as an excuse when it comes to serving businesses.
So what we've seen at the state level is that even though these bills might come from a good place, which is that we don't want anybody to be discriminated against. Everyone ought to be treated with equal respect and dignity. However, in the 24 states and hundreds of localities and cities that have passed these sexual orientation and gender identity laws, we've seen time and time again that they've been used to target people for their beliefs, whether that be in traditional marriage or the biological reality of sex. And we've definitely seen this has been used to target Catholics.
On Thursday, more states have pushed for stricter abortion laws. Kristen Gillibrand has also claimed that this is a national attack.
Point, isn't it?
I think I can lead a movement and a fight across this nation for women's reproductive freedom. This is an all-out assault, state after state, over 39 efforts in this country to undermine women's reproductive freedoms. President Trump intends on overturning Roe v. Wade. He's made it clear, not only in his campaign, but as president. And that's what these Republican legislatures are doing across this country. This is something women are going to have to fight back on, and I will lead.
Also, Bill de Blasio is now currently running for president.
Scientific survey of some voters along the Democratic-dominated Upper West Side.
Not the person I'd vote for.
I think he should focus on being the mayor and do a better job.
When he has some new ideas, he should go for it.
I don't think any Democrat out there could beat Trump right now, least of all de Blasio.
I'm not really thrilled, but I'm not surprised either.
I think it'd be a great improvement over the incumbent.
Trump also called for a new merit-based immigration system.
Companies are moving offices to other countries because our immigration rules prevent them from retaining highly skilled and even, if I might, totally brilliant people. We discriminate against genius. We discriminate against brilliance. We won't anymore once we get this passed, and we hope to get it passed as soon as possible.
On Friday, more and more states have started to make anti-abortion laws. So far, Alabama, Ohio, Louisiana, Kentucky, Mississippi, Missouri, and Michigan is working on one. It's important to point out that there is a massive blowback on social media towards these new laws. Taking 2 seconds to create a post does nothing. Investing an hour every election to vote can go a long way. That's all the news for this week. I'm Stephen Hall. This is the Americans Alpha Recap.